This video is going to look at how to use logic inside AdapTableQL expressions. AdapTableQL is the adaptable query language which allows you to provide all sorts of complex expressions. Now they're generally mathematical and they can either evaluate on a particular row or against aggregated data, or in more advanced use cases you can do bucketing and cumulative data. But you can also add logic to your expression, and the best way is always to kind of see it in action. So let's create a calculated column, and let's do it based on this GitHub stars column. As you can see, the numbers here vary quite a lot. So maybe we want to have a calculated column which just tells us which are the most popular. So let's do that now. So we'll create a new calculated column, and let's call it popular, and let's give it a capitalized name. And in fact, there's two forms of expression logic in AdapTableQL. The first is what we call if, and that's this one here. As you can see, it takes an expression with a question mark, and if it's true, then you return what should be happen then. Otherwise, you return the false. So let's do it. It's always easier to do it. So for instance, let's say if GitHub stars is greater than 100,000, there's our ternary operator, then the true evaluation will be very popular, and the false evaluation will be just popular. Okay, there's various other settings you can do, and Adaptable knows that it's a string because it's looked at our expression, so there's nothing else for us to do. The calculated column has been created. We just need to see it in our layout. So let's go into the layout editor. Let's go into columns. It will be down there at the bottom. And in fact, let's push it up so that it's next to GitHub stars so you can see them together. And now when we finish, there we are. We've created our calculated column, and you can see that the two over 100,000 are very popular. And there's no reason why you can't add as many of those ternary statements as you want. So if we go back into our calculated column, we could now edit this expression, and we could say, instead of just returning popular, what we could do is we could have a second one. So we could say, if it's say greater than 50,000, then return popular. And if that fails, return not popular. And I forgot to, that's not that, there should be a question mark. So we've basically now said the first statement is greater than 100,000, very popular. Otherwise, we then do a second one to say, are we greater than 50,000, return popular. And if both of those fail, you return non-popular. And then when I finish this, you now see we've got a couple of populars and a few not populars. Now, the question then becomes, what happens if I wanted to add another case? Now you can, there's no limit on the number of ternary operators you want, but after a while you can see how this will get fairly unmanageable. So let's then show the second way of providing expression logic, which indeed handles this use case, and this is called using case statements. So let's edit this, and in fact let's get rid of everything we've done. And this time we're going to use case. And again, you can see that the syntax is a bit more complicated. And in fact, there's two signatures. The first is a case which takes an expression and then has a number of when then clauses. And we'll look at this in a moment. And then a final else clause, and then it finishes with an end. Or you can have a case, it doesn't take an initial expression and it still has a number of when thens and a final else, and then completes with an end. So let's add that here. So let's just click on case so we get the basic value. Now in our example, we're not for the moment going to do an initial one. Maybe we will in a minute. But let's now do our first clause. So we will say when GitHub stars is greater than 100,000, then let's do what we did before, very popular. Okay. And now we can do as many of these as we want. So I'm going to copy and paste because I'm going to save time. And now we can say when GitHub stars, for instance, is greater than 50,000, there I want you to do popular. We can do another clause we can say when GitHub stars is greater than 20,000, then you can say not popular. Oops, I can see I missed out a comma here. Else, and then this is what happens if it's none of those match. So in this case, anything that's under 20,000, then you can say unpopular, and then it finishes. So we've said, and again, you can see it's very helpful. It's telling me it's not passable. And in fact, when I look why, it will tell me if I click for more details, it says it's right at popular. And in fact, you can see here, I didn't close that initial first quotation mark. So there we are. We've now said when stargazers counts greater than 100,000, show me very popular. If that fails, when it's greater than 50,000, show me popular. If that fails, when it's greater than 20,000, show me not popular. And then anything under 20,000, hit the else clause, unpopular. And then when we finish, we now see that very popular, popular, unpopular. And then that's under 20,000. And then there should be a not popular somewhere. Yeah, there is, for between 20 and 40,000. So that's case logic, and an advantage of that, of course, is that you can have as many clauses as you want, and it's kind of a lot easier to see. Now, in this example here, we didn't look at this initial case. So let's create another calculated column very quickly. Let's call it, I don't know, extensions. And let's now do another case, but this time we will look at the first language. So what we can here say is let's do a case, and now we will take in a column. So we will, for instance, let's take the language column. So you can see the language column has various things. And now what we can do is we can look at this. So we can say when it's, for instance, JavaScript, then I want you to return JS. And again, let's just do another one. When it's, and you can see we have TypeScript as another language available. You can see them here, so there's TypeScript. Let's return TS, and otherwise the default value will be, I don't know, let's just say other, or HTML. So in this case here, we're not having to do a different evaluation every time because we've passed in a parameter to the case. We're just now evaluating each time on the value passed in. So there's my calculated column. Again, let me quickly add it so we can make it visible. So it's extensions, and let's just push it up to next to language. And then you can see where it says JavaScript, it's JS, where it's TypeScript, it's TS, and there's a couple of others. So there we are. There's a couple of examples of how to use logic inside AdapTableQL expressions. These are obviously fairly trivial, but you can see how complex it can be if you want to make it. As always, thank you for watching, and any questions, do please get in touch.